Welcome in, hockey fans. It's a new episode of the Hockey Hub here on NESN. Kasey and Sophia back at it to talk about a lot of fun things that have been going on around the NHL. But, I mean, what's more fun than seeing Ovi break records? Sophia, how's it going? I'm so glad to chat with you about this because I feel like we started this conversation on the previous episode of the Hockey Hub.
Yeah, we were definitely talking Ovi when he was facing the Bruins, scored against them to get, I think it was 5-0 at that point. I'm so happy. I mean, everyone in the hockey world, everyone in the sports world, at least on socials, was talking about it. It was so fun to watch and fun to watch it live. Obviously, I wasn't in New York, but it's just like I still have a smile on my face from his celebration, especially that dive, the teammates, the sound, the mic. He was mic'd up, obviously, all of it. Just I'm glad it's over with because the anticipation's been long, and even he said,
true.
like, I'm glad to not be talking about this anymore. But so cool how it happened. Part of me wished it happened in Washington, but actually it was perfect. 2 goals in Washington, 1 on the island. Great celebration. It's over. Scoring streak. Now you can move on and focus on the postseason, but so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I love, you said it perfectly too. Like, it's one of those get the monkey off the back scenarios, but that's all we can talk about, anticipating what was going to happen, how many goals he was going to score per game. I mean, there was a number of times heading into a matchup where you would have commentators be like, he can pick up 2 tonight, and I feel like it just added so much to it. But I got to go back to the celebration for a second, because the first tweet that I saw when it went down was like, is this the best celly ever now? Just like, you see the number of opportunities guys have in hockey when they could do this like belly flopping stride. Is that going to top one of your favorite cellies to see in the NHL?
I think it is the favorite celly. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. Teemu Selanne stands out for sure with the stick, firing the stick. But like that, it's just so quintessential Ovi and just so like pure joy. I think that's what we talk about a lot with him is like he's a big kid and he still finds so much joy in the game and he brings so much joy. There's something about him that's like very childlike and playful and sweet. And that's just even though he's like, you know, a monster out there on the ice and a big body and he could throw his body around, but there's this like childlike energy to him and innocence. And that's what it feels like. And it's just like, it feels like if you were 6 years old and pretending to be Ovechkin and pretending to break Wayne Gretzky's record, like what would you do? And that's like something a 6-year-old would do. And I say that with all due respect, like it's the best. It's so authentic and so real. And, you know, I mean, jumping, like we've seen it, like into your teammates' arms or like on the boards or pointing or whatever. Like Marchand has a great Conor McGregor one. They're all awesome, but that one just feels like pure joy. And I think it's the best.
Yeah, I feel like they could make a campaign around it and just make it one of those for the love of the game situations. George and I talked about it on Boston Has Entered the Chat, how it just seems like he still just loves playing the game. It's almost like watching a guy be able to like throw on rollerblades, go in front of his house, grab a stick, and just have a time outside. And like I remember seeing an interview from Jay Pandolfo, who we'll hear from later on here on the Hockey Hub, how it's just so different. You don't get to just go outside and play anymore. And Ovi just has that whole essence to him and everything that he does. But I guess the bigger question, which is crazy to even say now and today, is like, did you think that Ovi could do this, like break 894 and top it with 895? Is this something you foresaw as you've been covering hockey?
Yes. So I've been thinking about when I would have said it. I'm like, can I go back into the NESN archives? Because I want to find it so badly. But I know we brought it up 2 or maybe 3 years ago on one of the pregame shows, like the Bruins pregame show. And I'm sure they were facing Washington or something, but we were talking about it because Ovi was going on a tear. And, you know, I remember the analyst being like, he's I think it was like 200 away or something from breaking the record or 150 or something. And they were just saying, given his age, probably not going to be able to do it, but going to get close. And for some reason, I was just like, and I may not have been, I think I was confident enough to say it on air, but usually when you have like 2 or 3 experts, 2 of which played in the NHL, you know, you're not really challenging that. But like in my gut, I was like, no, he could do it. Like, I don't, you know, it may have been the year he had the Richard Trophy with Pasta and for the scoring title. Yeah. Like it may have been that year when they shared it and he was just like lighting it up. And it was like, look, he's whatever age that was, 34, 35 at the time. I just don't see this guy slowing down just because of like everything we've seen. And so I did think so. I'll say it on here. It's easier to, I wish I could find the proof of it. And maybe I will like go in midnight into the archives and try to find it somewhere. But yeah, no, I don't want to say I never doubted it. I just kind of felt like one of those things where it was like, not for sure going to happen, but it wasn't like out of the question, like everyone was saying, like this is a crazy reality. And then obviously even when he went out with injury this season, I was like, he still has time. Like this is going to slow him down, but he has another year on his contract. I don't think he'll be retiring. We'll talk about that too later on the show. But anyway, I thought it was possible. How did you feel about it?
I thought it was possible too. I was right there with you because of the fact of like, I've always made the argument, at least over the past year or two, is like to see a guy who can evolve with what hockey has become. I mean, the sport has just like changed so much in the past 5-10 years, and as fast as it has gotten, his numbers have still been there. And it just goes back to the joy of it, because on a mental health level, we read or we report on a number of guys who like they have to fall back in love with the game. And I don't feel like I've ever seen that over Ovi's career, at least, you know, as long as I've covered the NHL. So that's kind of where I was like, between the love of it, between the numbers, between the fact that he's just like still so in it, I couldn't imagine hanging it up without getting at least super close to it. So there was that for me. But to support what you're saying, because I used your interview with Chara the other day as an example, because you asked him about like, you know, his age and his timing in the game. And it makes me think, considering age and timing, consider your interview with Chara, considering what Chara said, like, I don't picture Ovi retiring anytime soon, and I say anytime soon, keeping the scope of like 3 years in the scope of it all. But like between your interview, between what I've seen, and just between like the love of everything, like how do you retire after all of this? And you have a year left on your contract, and you're with a young team that's just so excited. That locker room just looks insane, right?
Yeah. No, I would agree. Like, let's say they win a cup this year, you know, that might either make you hungry to try to go back to back. Like that would be a cool thing. Like, can we go back to back? If you get eliminated, I mean, he'll have one more year on his contract, but like, you're going to want to try again next year kind of thing. It really all depends obviously on him. That's like stating the obvious, but I agree. Like from what we've seen, I don't think he's going to want to like hang up the skates and maybe break other records, maybe just, you know, see how much he can do. And like, you've got the rest of your life. It's not like he's got another 10 years in him, I don't think, but he could have another 5, right? He could. And then it's like, so what's 5 years of playing this game that you're so good at, that you're so fun to watch, you do so much for the league, in the grand scheme of like the rest of your life retiring, you know, and then deciding if you want to stay in the game. So 1 year left on his contract, I don't think that's the last year. And I hope not, because I want to watch him for a long time.
I know it would be so weird to think that there's a season coming up where Ovi's not a part of it. So hopefully that's not the case, but I don't think it's going to be. Going a little off here for a second. Did you by chance see the video of Wayne Gretzky telling him hit 900 and I'll get you a car?
I mean, I saw, you mean, was it during the ceremony or was it after, or like it was a mic'd up thing?
Sometime in the mix of it. Yeah. I thought that was so funny because I'm thinking like what car screams 900 goals? I mean, you know, these guys can drive anything, but I wonder if there's something more like close to heart that works for him. That's like, I have to have this car to represent 900.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a car person, so I couldn't tell you. I drive a Toyota Corolla and I love it, and that's all I got. So I wouldn't know what they would want. But no, it's cute. I mean, he's going to score. He's going to keep going. Like that wasn't the last goal he ever scored. Like he's got a lot more in him. It's really exciting to see what he could do. And no, very cute stuff from Gretzky. I don't know what Gretz would get him. And I don't know what cars Ovi has, but it's cool.
I thought it was kind because we know that 900 is not far out. So at least he's still being considerate as to like, okay, I got to get him a good gift here. But I was very curious. I'm like, what car screams 900? But sticking with celebrations, I mean, outside of Ovi and his celebrations of this monumental milestone, we had some goalies that received gifts from Budweiser. Something else that I thought was so interesting, very cool, very comical to add to it. These are the guys that were able to keep Ovi from getting behind them in the net here. What did you think of Budweiser sending out these gifts to these goaltenders and their remarkable accomplishment of not having the great 8 get past them?
I mean, I think it's a cute campaign for sure. Like, obviously, the marketing team did a really good job planning this for a while. And then here we are talking about it on this show. Socials, like, great. The marketing team needs a raise. And PR team, because that's like a good way to get your name out there and like gift for guys who didn't, or for goalies who didn't get scored against. I think it's small there, but Vitek Vanacek with the most shots. I think it says 19 at 20. I don't know. It's pretty small. But that being said, let's say it is 19 or 20. That's a lot of shots for Ovi to not get scored against. So like these guys deserve it. I think it's a cute campaign, and I like that it's continuing the message about it.
Yeah, it's just continuing to add so much to it. We saw Curtis Joseph post his personal gift from Budweiser, but we actually had one of our own here at NESN. Andrew Raycroft, Razor, kind of throw up a tweet, feeling some type of way about not being able to be on the receiving end of Budweiser's stuff. We're able to see this tweet. I'm trying to see if the guys can throw it up here quickly to see how Razor responded.
Oh, this is BS. That's good.
Should we come up with a gift to send the other guys that were able to at least like stand between the pipes versus somebody as outstanding as Ovi?
I mean, they're part of the reason that Ovi reached the record, so they deserve a gift too. I mean, they got scored on, so
they have a hand in it. I love the perspective.
Yeah, they do have a hand in it.
Well, if you want to
very
see,
cute from Razor.
Yeah, I thought that was great because I tried to pick his brain a little bit for unobstructed views on like what it's like going against these guys. So I can only imagine like where he really was thinking like this is BS, but this is fantastic all in one. I mean, it's the historics of it. But for more granular situations, historics, and fun things, make sure you stream the entire Red Sox season with a NESN 360 annual plan, available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. While the Red Sox are crushing it and trying to hit their own monumental moments, and of course we had this big moment with Ovi in the NHL, of course people start to ask what's next, or more importantly, who's next, and they start to think of goal scorers that can become the next, you don't want to say the next Ovi and take away from the situation, but where the torch will be passed to. Incredible list here. I mean, I mentioned earlier, and you've seen it with your coverage with the NHL, there's so much incredible talent. The game is changing and evolving, but when you're looking at this list, Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews, Leon Draisaitl, I mean, are there names that jump off to you that you're like, yeah, I could see them skating up close to Ovi or kind of getting the tap to pass the torch?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said with Ovi, everything's possible. Not to say that this isn't like a huge accomplishment. It is, and it wasn't easy to get to, and to be as elite as he is at his age. And like, by the way, side note, at his age and like his physique, like he doesn't give an F. Like his belly's huge in the summers. He's not like, there's no 6-pack there. He's like a tank. He eats whatever the hell he wants. He drinks what he wants. So like, that's the beauty of it. It's just hilarious. It's not like, I know Chara really took care of his body. I know a lot of these guys are doing like green juices and stuff. Like Ovi doesn't care. And that's what's hilarious about it. But yeah, he could do it. And it was very hard to do. And yeah, we're looking at some of the guys that might be able to do it. I mean, Sidney Crosby's the closest in terms of projected years, but look how many years away that is. And Sid's also getting up there in age. I think he's 37. So I don't see that happening. 34, 35 is what, 10? Yeah, it's 10 years from now. I don't know how old Austin Matthews is. 27, 8? Like, possible.
27.
It's possible. 27. Okay, that's what I thought. So like, it's possible, but like anything is, but it's not something that I'm like, looking at now, try me again in 5 years. And then let's look at Pasta, 37, 38, and David Pastrnak's, I think 27, also 27, 28. So in like 10 years, again, I love Pasta and I love watching him and how creative he is, but we've seen how hard it is to do. It would be crazy if we're having another countdown like this. For now, I'm going to let Ovi relish in this for the next, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to come for sure.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, it's something that you want to see, but it depends on, I wonder where these guys' mindsets are in terms of like how much longer that they want to play. I know that like in the bullpen area here at Nesson, the guys were kind of having a conversation about it, and they're like, it has to be Austin Matthews. It has to be Austin Matthews. Well, considering the scoring rate and acceleration that he just tends to be so sharp on, like, that's where I could see that going. But I would want that for him in his career also, considering like where the Toronto Maple Leafs have had to build and regrow and do everything for their organization and hockey club. But it seems weird to talk about Connor McDavid and everything that he means to the sport and him potentially not being like in that category. So I wonder if that's just like a scapegoat, or if that's too easy of an answer to say Connor McDavid has to be that guy, right? He has years in him. Yeah. He's young enough. Like, it would make sense. It would add to the poetry.
Our producer is just saying that Matthews has more goals through 600 and something games than Ovi did at the same pace. So like there's that. Depends who you're playing with. Depends on like your line mates, teammates, all that. Could it be McDavid? Yeah, I mean, like, it's too early to have that conversation, and maybe what we're seeing is, I mean, there are so many elite scorers in Gretzky's era too. I'm just like thinking about the elite scorers. But we're seeing like the game get faster. All the guys will talk about the talent, the paying attention to your body and your nutrition, right? So, joking about Ovi's diet and stuff, but like kids as young as 14, which, side note, I just think it's way too stressful for them. And it's crazy how competitive you have to be. Like, just what these kids are going through to have a chance, like summer hockey, off-season training, obviously winter hockey. You're playing on like 5 teams, driving around. The competition is just like, it's crazy. Nutrition, dietitian, all this kind of stuff. But that being said, sticks are different. Like, equipment's different, lighter. The checking game's different. The rules around goalie interference is different. There's just so much. So we're seeing a faster game and like more skill, I guess, so to speak, or like finesse, that anything could happen in 10 years. Like, it's wild. But like I said, the guys currently playing in the NHL, like, yeah, it's not impossible. I want Ovi to have this moment for a long time.
That's so true. We can't take away from the Ovi moment. He will. I mean, we're talking about, 10 years time potentially for any of the names on that incredible list. But such a great point to talk about, like, the change of everything, not only the pace of game, the equipment and everything else. But we can stick with Ovi for a second, because something else that he's remarkably climbing up in the charts on is breaking a record when it comes to hits. Don't have the specifics on it, but just talking about the tank that he is, to be able to be such an elite scorer, and then on top of that, you're such a physical king on the ice, on like all encompassing, like talking about the fact that he has every key element to hockey, a part of his game. I think that that's something else that makes him so fun to watch and probably inspires the heck out of that locker room, because I couldn't imagine being Ryan Leonard right now. Like, 1 week's time, he's been a part of such key moments when it comes to Ovi. And George said something really special on chat the other day, how unselfish Ovi made every moment, not only for that kid, but for like every teammate in that Washington Capitals locker room. So like what he means to the sport in terms of like how much he loves it, but also just how like unselfish he is, even though this is his moment.
Yeah, no, and that's what you've always kind of like liked about him. Like, he's a flashy player. I mean, I still love his laces. I love his bright neon laces, and the way he tucks in his jersey and the back and all that stuff. His chains. Oh, but side note, I think it was on ESPN, it was on all socials, but like the sound up from his goal, all I could hear is his chains dangling. Like, he's like, you pass it to me, one touch it to me, and I'm gonna shoot, or whatever it is. And then he like he's skating, gets into position, and then when he slides, all I hear is his chains. Like, he's so flashy, so funny, so charismatic. And often guys that take that much attention in other sports are like kind of, or at least they seem like egotistical, egotistical, make it about me. He follows the rules, but he's just so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a rebel. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but just like, I guess I'm just gonna use flashy until I can think of it. But it's still like you said, with like such respect and like selflessness. It's not, let's put it this way, it's not him trying to be flashy or trying to be a superstar. He just is, he just like is. And so he's just going to be what he is with this. It seems like he has like this huge heart, really, really unfortunate. His father passed away, which is very devastating for him, but like really loved his parents, loves his mom and dad, of course, rest in peace, his dad, but like a family guy, talks about his wife all the time, his mother-in-law, father-in-law, his kids, just like this charismatic, warm, flashy kind of like big teddy bear, and that you don't associate those kind of guys with being about others. But that's what's so cool about him, is he really is about the team and about other people. And the attention finds him. He doesn't go looking for it. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense. I mean, it goes hand in hand with what you said. He just is, which obviously the attention is going to go straight to anything that just kind of has this presence. He has the presence. That's what it is. And every aspect of this was so emotional. His mom's speech. I love that the NHL did so well with pre-recording things and just having so many key moments when they stopped the game. That was a whole nother debate that took place, though. What did you think of them stopping the game to kind of like freeze that moment, encapsulate that moment, and have all the honoraries, all the presentations take place, and then resume the game?
Yeah, at first I was like, ooh, if I'm the Islanders, I'm not happy, because like you're fighting for your playoff lives. Like if they had let's say that was a turning point and then Washington blew up and scored 6 goals, it'd be a different conversation. But they won, like the Islanders won, and pretty handedly or whatever. So it's like more of a non-conversation now, but it's hard. It's hard to like stop in the middle of, like, that's crazy. Like I've never seen that. Like it's hard to stop in the middle of the game. So good for the Islanders for just going with it and doing that. I think the moment deserved that. And I was texting about it with a couple friends, obviously, as I was watching. And my perspective was like, ooh, I don't know if I'd like this. But they were also like, what if you are, like, maybe you want to be part of this history where you're like, I get to see this, I get to watch this too. And sometimes you forget that these guys, are in the NHL, so they're not really starstruck by each other, but they do admire each other. And there are a lot of people that say, oh, I got to play against my hero or with my hero. And those are mostly the younger guys. But like, who didn't, especially if you're sub 30, who didn't watch Ovechkin growing up? If you're like under 30 and when you're like a teenager, enter the league and be like, wow, it's so cool to play against him. So for a lot of these guys, I think it could have been really cool too. So yeah, I had mixed feelings about it. I think it would be a totally different conversation if the Islanders lost and if things didn't go their way afterwards, because they were obviously leading by just a goal, right? I think it was 2-1 at that point. So at the end of the day, it all worked out. They won. It didn't change the momentum too much. It got to be part of this moment. And yeah, I don't know. Would you have wanted to see it after the game?
I thought about it at first because I thought the same thing, to kind of like break down the game. People, you get cold legs. It just changes the dynamic of what we're going to see when the game picks back up. But considering the moment and considering like the timeline in which we may see a moment like this again, I did appreciate breaking everything down, having the presentation, and having an opportunity to kind of freeze and, like I mentioned, encapsulate such a big, big moment that we don't know when we're going to see it next. So I appreciated it after the fact. And it was cool that it happened against Sorokin, whom he hasn't scored against previously. But speaking of big moments, momentum swings, and all the goodies, we've got BU in action representing Hockey East in the Frozen Four. I had a chance to catch up with head coach Jay Pandolfo here to get the goods on what's going on as they gear up for the Frozen Four and what the expectation is taking on Penn State. Check it out right here. All right, hockey fans, joining me now here on the Hockey Hub on NESN, BU hockey head coach Jay Pandolfo. Jay, how's it going? Or coach, how's it feel getting prepared for your now third straight appearance as head coach for the Frozen Four?
Yeah, it's been. It seems like it's been a long time with this week in between after regionals. Seems like a long stretch of practice, and I know our guys are looking forward to flying out tomorrow and getting to St. Louis and gearing up to play on Thursday. So, but it's been good. We got some good work in next week. Last week also able to get some rest, which I think has helped along the way here. And we're gearing up this week. Had a good practice today, and we'll have another good one tomorrow before we fly out, and then get out there and get ready to go.
Yeah, you mentioned the time, and sometimes you don't want limbs getting too cold, even though you guys are practicing and staying at it. But what's the temperature check with the group right now, where their heads, their mindsets are at now that they're getting ready to gear up, hop on a flight, and get things going?
I think they're excited. I think the guys, we probably have 8 to 10 guys that have been part of this the last couple of years. So I think they have an understanding that, listen, we have to make sure that we try to stay as focused as possible here, knowing that we have 2 weeks before the first game. And our guys have done a good job, the leaders of our team, to keep our guys focused and making sure we're putting the right amount of work in practice, but also understanding too that we have to get a little bit of rest and also enjoy the time and get excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, and I know, like, as young players, one of the hardest things is to make sure you stay present while you are equally as excited. But what I love about this BU group is you look at the top of the year and these guys are kind of counted out, and now they're counted on, especially when it comes to the New England area, representing Hockey East. What's that kind of like, being the team that's representing New England at this moment in the Frozen Four?
Yeah, I think we're proud as a group. Hockey East was a great league this year. Any one of the teams that made the tournament could have moved on to this point. But when you get to these one game situations, it's tough. You need some bounces along the way. You need some breaks, and we got those and ended up back here. So we're proud to represent Hockey East, and you just want to make sure that we're ready to go, and we're playing our best hockey going into Thursday against Penn State.
Yeah, I'm sure because of how competitive Hockey East was and the expectation of a number of teams getting to this point, probably got you guys entirely prepared. I mean, you've got a Beanpot victory in the arsenal, a tough showdown with UConn in the semis, and then now getting prepared for the Frozen Four. But what I'm excited about when it comes to this BU group is when you're going against an opponent, I'm sure one of the things that's got them rattling in their skates is you guys' ability to just command the neutral zone for one and just take advantage of gaps for two. Like, how impressive has your group been in kind of having that advantage over a number of teams that they've played against? Saw that big exposure versus BC months ago.
Yeah, we have a group that we have the ability to score, and when we're feeling good and playing the game the right way, that's usually when we get our chances. When we try to complicate the game, that's when we have trouble. But our team, when they have confidence and understand when we do have ice in front of us and we have time to make our plays off the rush and make our plays in the offensive zone, that's when we're pretty good. We get in trouble when there's not a lot there and we're trying to make something happen, when the right play is just to put it behind them and go to work that way. So it's a balancing act for our group. We've had our struggles this year at times, and I think that's helped us understand this time of year you have to play a certain way if you want to have success. So again, it's a credit to our group. I think the stuff we've been through this year, the Beanpot game, having a tough first period, we were on our heels, but finding a way within that game to come back and understand that if we're going to have a chance to come back and win the Beanpot, we're going to have to play a certain way, and we did that. So we've been through a lot of different scenarios from our group. And the UConn game, another example, in the semifinals, we did not play well, and we beat ourselves. UConn's a great team, but we knew what they were going to bring, and they brought a heavy forechecking game, and we weren't advancing pucks out of our zone, and it was difficult for us, and they took advantage of us. And I think we've learned from that situation that we have to play a certain way if we want to win.
Yeah, they were surprising in terms of their physicality and just how much they tried to wear down their opponent, but probably a really good lesson to learn before heading in to the Final Four. You kind of mentioned weathering the storm in a first period a bit there, and when it came to my notes for BU specifically, it was always watch out, be caution for these second period adjustments. It seems like your team has a tremendous ability to adjust in that second period, take over games. What does it speak to the coachability of these guys that you have on your roster? Because you see a number of teams that they know what to do, they know where the adjustments need to be made, but making those adjustments in a timely manner before letting the game get away from them just is a big struggle, especially for a young group.
Yeah, we're a resilient group. That's been the challenge for our coaching staff, is getting these guys to understand that we have to start the game a certain way, and sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to get going. And this time of year, though, that's not going to be a good recipe. And even in the Ohio State game, our first regional game, first period, again, we were outshot 15-2, playing on our heels. I thought we got caught up on the moment a little bit, and that's going to happen when you have a young group. A lot of guys, their first experience in the NCAA tournament, but we settled down and found a way to find our game, and our goaltender kept us in it in that first period. But we found our game in the second, found our legs a little bit, And in the third, we opened it up. And I think it was, again, another lesson for our group that if we were going to start the game like that against Cornell, it was not going to go very well. So we were ready to go in that first period against a very good Cornell team. And I mean, clearly that game could have went either way. It comes down to one shot in overtime. But again, our guys kind of stuck with it and probably played one of our more complete games versus Cornell.
Yeah, well, speaking of kind of getting off to a quicker start and not waiting too long to have those adjustments take place, you guys get ready to take on a pretty fast Penn State team. But when you talk to a number of other teams throughout Hockey East, they've docked you guys as the fast team to go up against: high tempo, high transitions, all of these really quality things to bring to the ice. So how do you prepare for a team that's going to try to equally slow you down as much as you need to slow them down?
Yeah, Penn State, they are really fast in transition, and a completely different type of team than Cornell and even Ohio State, where they look to get on the attack. They're very good off the rush. So we have to just make sure that, number one, is we're managing the puck, at both blue lines, because they're ready to go. We just have to make sure that our details are really good. We're not letting their D beat us up the ice. Their D get involved in the rush. They have a good 4 or 5 man attack at times, and we got to make sure that we're reloading really well and helping our D out, because if not, it's going to be make it really difficult on our defensemen with speed coming at you all the time if our forwards aren't doing their jobs.
Yeah, and another aspect of the game, and let me know if I'm wrong here, during this tournament progressing towards the Frozen Four, we've seen a number of games come down to crucial special teams moments. This Penn State team is pretty disciplined when it comes to special teams. They're low registered on penalty minutes. They're not getting unnecessary penalties either, and they try to find a way to take advantage and find the back of the net when they do get those opportunities. I think roughly 8 shorthanded goals on the season. So how do you make sure you keep them out of any advantage, man advantage more specifically?
Yeah, we've had our struggles with discipline this year. I think still think we're probably the most penalized team in the country. It's gotten better second half. There's no question about that. Our penalty kill has gotten better as a result of taking less penalties, so that's certainly helped. And we just got to make sure that our special teams are real good, because this time of year, historically, there's not a lot of penalties called either way. So when you do get that opportunity on the power play, you want to make sure that you take advantage of it. And then also, if you do end up in the box, you got to make sure your penalty kill is doing the job. And, we did a real good job against Cornell in both areas. There wasn't a lot of power plays. We ended up scoring a big power play goal to take the lead in the third, and we did a really good job on the penalty kill as well.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of some of those plays against Cornell, you've got guys that show up for you. You've seen that clutch gear in a number of players, and I just want to touch back to the young guys that play such a crucial role on this roster. You've got 2 Hudsons that have made a tremendous impact, but then on top of it, you've got Yzerman, who's just been so clutch. Can we start with the freshman, because you had a killer freshman year at BU, so you know what it's like to kind of speak to the confidence to help these guys be contributors early in their career in college?
Yeah, I think a big reason is we give our young guys opportunities early on in the season, so they understand that we trust them. We want them to play to their strengths. We want them to make plays. So I think that gives them a confidence early on, and they go through some growing pains over the course of their first season. But I think those guys, realize that we need them to be good for us, and we trust them that they're going to make plays at the right time. And both Cole Yzerman and Cole Hudson have been great players for us this year. Have won big games for us. Have scored in big moments. So it's a credit to them that they believe in themselves as young players, that they can help us win, and those 2 guys are a big reason why we're headed back to the Frozen Four. And then Quinn Hudson, he's been a guy, he's his third time going to the Frozen Four. I think he leads our team in game-winning goals over the last 3 seasons, so he always seems to come up big in big moments, and he's been a terrific player for us.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys you just mentioned have a number of game-winning goals that have contributed. I got to ask, have you had any hand in helping Cole Hudson when it comes to these insane angles that he scores on? Because the amount of loops that we have on social media from these goals that he scores, it's just insanely impressive.
That has absolutely nothing to do with me. That's his. He just has that ability. He's a special player. Obviously, his brother can do a lot of the same things. I think he scored that goal against who was it against? Cornell, and then you saw Lane the other night go end to end and similar type goal where he's down by the goal line and shoots it over the goalie's shoulder. So they have the ability to pick their spots, and they're special players, special talent.
Thanks again to Coach Pandolfo for joining us here on the Hockey Hub, and good luck to the BU boys as they take on Penn State in the Frozen Four. But if you want more interviews like this and all the tabs on hockey, you are watching the Hockey Hub. If you like what you hear, give it a thumbs up over on YouTube. Make sure that you like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you get and enjoy your podcast. Coming up, we got another great interview here on the Hockey Hub. Mary Kay Messier to talk with us about Bauer, their partnership with the PWHL, and the growth of not only hockey globally, but women in hockey. Check it out. Mary Kay, thank you so much for joining me here on Respect Her Game. Not only do we highlight such magnificent women making momentous moments in sports, but hockey is one of my favorite sports. It's one of my favorite coverages, and for you to be a part of Bauer and the movement that they have going on, partnering with the PWHL, helping the PWHL have this expansive recognition to their game. What's that been like? Because the PWHL and everyone that's playing in it and a part of it is just saying how far the recognition has come for professional women's hockey.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you. And yeah, it's been so exciting. What a journey, what a ride. I think, people have been waiting for this for a long time. And we were talking about it the other day when I was on NESN. Just, if you think about the men launching their original 6 jerseys and what a moment of pride that would have been. It's taken us 100 years to get there for women, but it's exciting and it's so impactful. I think for Bauer to play a part of that, to have been a partner since the beginning with the Players Union first, and then with the PWHL first, the Dream Gap Tour, and then the PWHL. It's just been amazing to see, where we started and where we've come. And I think so much work by so many to get to the place where we're at today. Which is a thriving league with a great product on ice, some of the most incredible athletes in the world, not only for how they play on the ice, but how they show up in their communities, growing the game and making a difference. So it's really exciting. And I think, this year, especially launching those jerseys on ice for the players to be proud of, and also for the fans to be a part of it, to feel connected to the athletes, just like they do in the NHL, and to show their loyalty to these athletes, to the PWHL, and to the game.
Oh, I love that. And we see it here tremendously in Boston. But I kind of want to touch on something that you mentioned there, communities, and the fact that, there's a percentage that goes to the Grow the Game initiative and how you guys are helping just kind of, again, draw so much attention and growth to the sport as a whole. But for young women that want to be a part of the hockey community, can you talk more about the Grow the Game initiative that Bauer has going on?
Yeah, that's so important, right? How do we create, knowing everything we know and we love about hockey, that it instills, great core values, that it builds character, that it gives girls strong self-esteem. I think for girls, the stakes are even higher. Just how important it is to play team sports, and specifically what hockey can provide in terms of opportunities. So Bauer's been very intentional about investing in programs specifically to welcome girls into the sport. We share that vision with the PWHL in terms of creating more opportunities for girls. So as part of our partnership, 3% goes into a fund to support Grow the Game initiatives, and the way, the jerseys, the replica jerseys, and the lifestyle apparel has been going. It's a great fund, and it gives us a great head start. In fact, we launched pilot programs just a couple of weeks ago to introduce the girls to hockey through PWHL and Bauer specific programming. And, these girls are so excited, and their families are excited. And, the difference is now there's lots more opportunities to look forward to. Not only can they think about playing hockey in college, but now they can aspire to play professional, or they can aspire to be a scout in hockey, or a general manager, or a coach. So I think what this has done is opened up so many more opportunities for girls and also women as they advance through their careers.
Yeah, it's breaking down any sort of barriers or intimidation that says that you can't do it. I mean, I'm from Florida, for one, and to grow up in Florida and to grow up in communities where the guys that I knew that were playing hockey, they had to make a decision, boarding school or switch to lacrosse, you know? So to see that this is an opportunity to learn and grow and to break down those barriers is just tremendous, for one. And for two, you are a part of the NHL's Female Advisory Committee, which is huge. I mean, what does that entail? What are some of the tasks and the things that you have to move along, the pegs that are so crucial to kind of making that committee what it is?
Yeah, great question. Well, back to my comment about it takes so many leaders across all industries to help with this movement, to help, advance and elevate girls and women in sport. And the NHL is very involved in that, has been for some time. So they bring together a committee of people who are very passionate about doing just that, elevating and advancing, creating more opportunities for participation, but also more opportunities for women within the sport. Has been recently relaunched as the Women's Advancement Committee, and I think that name is very applicable. I find it very inspiring to work with that group. There are women and men, but mostly women across all industries. Leaders in the media industry, leaders outside of hockey, with the WNBA, for instance, and then across the board, women from NHL clubs all coming together to think about ideas, to think about the obstacles, the barriers, and also to think about potential solutions and how we can put together a plan to make progress. Some progress short term, like get the wins, get some quick wins, start building some momentum, and some plans that take years. We know that we need to make investments today to see, to set up the next generation, to create a future that's very inspirational and aspirational for girls to play in the future.
I love that. Are there any projects in the works right now that you feel like personally very close to and proud of that you can share with us here on Respect Your Game?
I mean, I think the Grow the Game program in and of itself, in all different forms. We have a program with Hockey Canada, the National Hockey League, and the National Hockey Players Association, that all girls programs now that offers the game at a really fun, affordable way in a welcoming environment for girls. And as I said, we just launched the PWHL program as well. For me, that's really important because what we find is, one, there's a little bit of a lack of awareness for families. Two, there's an education required, just educating parents on how important it is for girls to play team sports, and specifically, I believe, hockey, so that they bring their girls out to play. And also another factor is, we know in families with multiple kids, often parents prioritize boys participating in sports over girls. So sometimes the kids that show up to these programs for girls happen to be siblings who have wanted the opportunity to try, but haven't been afforded it. So I think the Grow the Game initiatives are a real passion point for me. We also have an in-house creative and content team, and we provide a lot of support in the way of campaigns to support awareness for women's different initiatives within that, as well as the PWHL. And I'm really excited about the campaigns and the content that we're putting out to elevate the women, elevate the PWHL, and tell these stories that are so important for little girls to hear and to see. If you believe, if she sees it, she can be it. I really subscribe to that. And so I think the content and the campaigns, in a way, is emotional and brings us to the heart of what the hockey community is all about. And so it's so important, and I love that part of it.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I mean, I wouldn't have guessed in 2025 that we would see women in such key moments when it comes to hockey. You got Campbell behind the bench for the Seattle Kraken. In the story, you talk about emotion, but it's seeing that, and it's seeing key content, which you mentioned how Bauer is putting that on, and so is the committee, which just tells you that this is a possibility and it's not so far out of reach. Like, throughout your career and the moments that you've been a part of, did you expect to see the women that are playing such pivotal roles in hockey in the NHL as well as the PWHL?
Well, I'd like to say I did, because I believed in it. I mean, I know that women are so talented. I know the game will be better off having women involved. We know that diversity creates better leadership, creates a more inclusive environment. We know that girls growing in hockey is good for the overall sport. It grows the overall sport. We know that the PWHL, for instance, offers a new entry point to new fans, a new introduction, a new entertainment offering. The games are very different. You see, families there with all their kids. So it's all good. It's good for girls and women, but it's also good for the sport. So I think I always intuitively believed it. I might have thought we were going to get there a little more quickly, but it takes a long time to change the engine. It takes a long time to change a lot of tradition. And I think what's important is seeing women in all roles, right? But particularly, we need to see women in leadership roles because leaders are making decisions. And if women are in leadership positions, they're going to be thinking about what's not only best for the entire sport, but they're specifically going to be thinking about how to make the game more equitable. And in the long run, that is better for the sport.
Absolutely. And kind of like extending off of that, you're seeing a PWHL season that's having a lot of success. I was mind blown. I got to bring my mom to a Boston Fleet game. It was sold out, and you just saw so many fans that were just ecstatic about the product in front of them. What are your hopes that, the role that Bauer will play to continue to help bring exposure and some of those, big moments for women in hockey moving forward?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've been to games in all the different ranks and seen these sold out crowds. There's a real unique energy. Fans of women's sports, and the research really shows this, are extremely loyal. They feel very connected to the athletes and to the league. And it's more than just a game on the ice. It's about them supporting equity. So when they wear these jerseys, which, by the way, when you go to a game, it looks like 7 out of 10 fans, or you just see a sea of the PWHL jerseys or T-shirts or whatever, because they are standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder with these athletes supporting equity in hockey. And I think that's really important. I think, how do we think about continuing to move forward? We have to keep evolving. We have to keep thinking about how we can create more opportunities for girls and women. We have to think about our role, not only specifically Bauer, but how do we tap into other leaders in other sports that we can learn from. We know that women's sports overall are amassing amazing success. And I think there's a lot to be learned from the other leagues. And I think you're starting to see that. Better collaboration. I think we need more out of brands. So I think, Bauer, we want to stand up as a leader in the sport and talk about how important this is. As a call to action, call other leaders from other industries and brands to come to the forefront and support girls and women in hockey and in all sports. So we continue to think about participation. We continue to think about elevating in the way of storytelling and content. And we think about how we do our part in leading collaboration and getting the message out there to other leaders to step into this game and help. We know we need more media. We need more brand support. We need to continue to grow it.
Yeah, well, I'd say that we're successfully launching in the right direction when it comes to everything that Bauer has done. But one of the most exciting questions that I couldn't wait to ask you about, considering the success that you've had and the draw-in that's coming into not only women's sports, but what Bauer represents as a whole, what are some of the key things to consider when trying to make this more of a global buy-in for women's sports or for women growing in hockey?
Well, that's an excellent question. And what's interesting is I just came back from a G5 meeting, basically our biggest distributors in rest of world. And what we're seeing is, so you have participation in Canada and the US for the first time ever, breaking 100,000 participants in both countries. But what you're also seeing, and you see a lot of focus from Hockey Canada and USA Hockey on growing girls hockey. But what we're also seeing now is that level of support or growing support with other federations like Switzerland, like Czechia, and other federations that are really starting to get behind and realizing that girls offer a great opportunity to grow the game and grow the sport overall. So I think, as we see more players coming over, there's fantastic athletes, as you're seeing. We're just scratching the surface from the women that are coming over. They also have a professional league in Sweden. So as more of these athletes come over, just like the NHL, those athletes are big stars in their home countries. And that helps to broaden the reach. from the perspective of Bauer, we already have interest in PWHL jerseys and lifestyle from our distributors in rest of world countries. So I think the combination of our reach globally within hockey as the number one brand in the world, and also the reach of the PWHL now with players coming over from these international markets to play, is creating a lot of excitement. And we have a pretty good model to follow in the NHL to see how they went from North America to broaden and rest of world, and think about the different events that they're hosting over in European countries to continue to develop fans across the globe.
And a big thank you to Mary Kay for joining us over on Respect Her Game. It is incredible to see where the game is going and how Bauer has such a strong hand in that. Make sure you catch Respect Her Game. New episodes dropping every Tuesday. All right, Sophia. Well, a cool question for you. Between talking to Mary Kay and just seeing everything that's taken scope when it comes to the NHL, what's kind of been a cool point for you to see with women growing in hockey as a whole?
I mean, all of it really, but I guess the marketing and dollars, there's a saying called vote with your dollar. And I kind of use it with like brands I want to support, but I like, that's the most important is, the attention. Cause like right now with social media and everything, we're just fighting and competing for some people's attention. Like that's the biggest currency. And so when you can put money behind that, Bauer putting sponsorship dollars, vowing to help like grow the game. I think that's the coolest part, where it's like there are still, in terms of like the luxuries of like, actually, I don't know how the PWHL women fly, but in terms of like the NHL, it's like the best of the best hotels, like nice buses, the best meals, the best chefs. And like, that's what's going to make a difference at the end of the day for this league that's like beginning to grow. The skill is there. The entertainment factor is there. Let's get that, like now we have sponsorship dollars, gear, jerseys. Let's get, that growing and it'll just like be on par. And I'm excited to where it's going.
I think you nailed it on the head. You got to put the dollar bills behind it, but we're starting to see all the momentum continue to thrive and grow. Sophia, as always, it's so much fun getting a chance to chat with you here on the Hockey Hub. And for you hockey fans, if you enjoy what you're listening to, great interviews coming down the pipeline and so much more, be sure to like and subscribe to the Hockey Hub. And until next time, Kasey and Sophia will catch you here on NESN.